Hello and welcome to another episode of the Just Talking About Film podcast. My name is Ian Sargentson.
And my name's Luke Taylor, and it's great to be with you to just talk about films. We love just getting together. We were just talking before we started, saying, well, you know what, even if people don't watch this, we're having a good time just talking about films amongst ourselves.
Yeah, but we know people are watching because we get comments and we get a message back, and we're getting more people connecting with us each week, which is great. So if you are enjoying what we're doing, you're enjoying getting involved, then let us know if you want to come on and talk about films. Let us know your thoughts for themes and topics. Share the links with your friends on your Twitter and your Facebook, just so we can build up a greater community, just talking about films community. So
yeah, get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. We really would. You can get in touch via Twitter. Send us a direct message if you want to come on. Get in touch on our Facebook page. Write in the comments on our YouTube. We'd love to see. And you just have to be someone who loves talking about films. That's all it is.
Yeah. So that's all we want to do, and we'll talk about the films you want to talk about. We'll ask you some questions. We'll set the topic. So yeah, it'll be great. Look forward to it. And I say, connect with us on social media, on Twitter and Facebook. I really enjoy engaging in that. Last night we had the emojis. So picking from emojis, and some of them are ridiculously hard. Some of them are fairly straightforward. So I've enjoyed doing that.
Matt Batten's good at doing difficult ones there, I noticed.
Yeah, I thought John was. I still haven't got any of his. So we'll have to have a look. But yeah, connect with us. That's ultimately what we're saying. So how are you doing, Luke?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I've had a good film week. Well, I've had some bad films this week as well, but it's been a good week for watching films. Being back to the cinema again. I've got my tickets booked for this weekend as well, or tomorrow night. So yeah, looking forward to seeing some films I've never seen before. I think that's one thing I've really enjoyed about doing this podcast is I'm now actively seeking out films I haven't seen before. Rather than just going to my comfort films all the time.
Yeah.
So that I've got something new to talk about. I've been looking for films that I've missed, films that have just passed me by, and I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, I'm doing the balance thing, so always looking for films that I haven't seen before. But while we've been in these COVID times, I've been using it as an opportunity while film production was slow or there was a lot of bad films. I've been using that time to revisit films that I haven't watched for a long time to see if my opinions change. And I'm really enjoying that, as I've talked about in other weeks. I'm really enjoying watching films through almost adult eyes, because the way I watch films has matured as I've matured, so it's like it's changed. So I've really enjoyed it, and I've got a couple more again this week. And some of them, obviously, as I've said, haven't stood up, and I wish I hadn't watched them because it's ruined memories of films. But on a whole, it's largely been a positive experience. And then coupled that with new films that I haven't seen before. But for that, on the whole, the films that I haven't seen before that I've watched recently, I'd say it's a 50-50 split between I'm glad I watched that and I wish I'd never watched that. And I know it's been difficult for the film industry in producing quality films with big sets and big budgets. I get that. But some of these straight-to-streaming films are just dreadful.
Yeah. We'll get into one of those today. I like how you said with almost adult eyes.
Yeah, because I think, I don't know about you, Luke, this is going slightly off tangent, but it's in on a tangent, sorry. It's in every area of life, but I notice it in film as well. So I don't know, I think I must have matured late, right? Because I looked at 10 years ago, or whatever it is, even, 10, 15 years ago, and I just think I wasn't very mature then.
No, if you look back, you think at the time you thought you were, and now you look back and go, no, I was an idiot.
Yeah. So now I think I'm finally, this is deep for the Just Talking About Films podcast, but I think in the last 5 years, I've become a person that I like. No, I didn't like myself before. It wasn't a thing. I didn't know that I didn't like myself, but looking back, I was like, you so, just different things, but that's included in that is, the way that I watch films. It's not just an instant thing, and attention would have been the thing. I just want to be entertained. Whereas now, as I've said it numerous times, it's just deeper. It's just more. It's just the focus on the story. So
I've got an app on my phone called Time Hop, which shows you, like your Facebook updates a year ago, your photographs a year ago, 2 years ago, going all the way back. And it's amazing how often you see something 5, 6, 10 years ago and you go, you idiot. What a fool. You know, you're kind of like, what on earth? And you're like, I'm sure I didn't think that at the time. I thought I was mature. I remember turning 30 thinking I was mature. Looking back at the things I was saying when I was turning 30, I wasn't.
But, I mean, this is like All Our Yesterday. Welcome to All Our Yesterday's podcast. But I remember, you know, we've known each other a long time, Luke. And when we first met, I thought it was cool, and I probably was cool, you know, relatively. But I thought I was a nice guy, and I think I always wanted to be. But I think looking back, I could see, you know, maybe a bit, well, not maybe a bit, there was arrogance there. There was a lot of things. So I don't know. So just growing up now, I think now I'm at the age where I think I will learn more and develop, but I think this is it. I've peaked. This is peak Ian Sargent. So not physically, we still got to get there, but mentally and emotionally, yeah.
It seems we mentally and emotionally peak once our bodies are way past it.
Yeah, it seems that way. So physically and spiritually, I'm still pushing, but we'll see.
Wow. Well, I didn't expect us to go quite so.
No.
Quite
so
so
that was.
deep.
I mean, that was good. That was good. It was like some kind of deep therapy to start off with.
Oh dear. Well, which films have you watched this week that have, especially ones that you're viewing with your now almost adult eyes?
Yeah, so there's 3 films that I've seen before, and one that I hadn't. And the first film is The Quick and the Dead. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, that's another one I missed when it came out, which is weird.
So it's
I like Sam Raimi.
It's a Western, and it's got an all-star cast, right? But I remember watching it and loving it. I remember really thinking this is really good. But then it's one of them things that afterwards I thought I must have got that wrong because it's not rated very highly. Do you know what I mean? It's almost comical. But I watched it again and I enjoyed it again. I think it is what it is. I think it's a tongue-in-cheek, you know, tribute to a spaghetti Western in some ways. That's got a strong female lead. So it's a slight twist on most Westerns there. As I say, it's got Gene Hackman, it's got Russell Crowe, Sharon Stone, Leonardo DiCaprio, and cast. Then the main force. That's a good cast. And yeah, there's a bit, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, some of the camera work, as there is with The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and all the classics, you know, zooming in on the eyes, and they ham that up a bit. And then the bad guy's really bad. I think it could have been better if it was more serious. I think it could have been a good, you know, darker, serious thing. But I think as it is, I enjoyed it. I really, you know, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's a fairly simplistic plot. It's a bit like... I'm
going to add that to my watch list. I'm on a big Western kick at the moment, so it's one to add. Hold on, I'm just going to add that while you're going to the next film. But I've not seen it. It's one of those ones that just totally passed me by. But now I'm on a Western kick. I think it might be time. What's it called again? Sorry, The Quick and the Dead.
The Quick and the Dead. And
it's a good title.
I think what it is, it's like most Westerns I like to a degree, and then there's something wrong with them. Do you know what I mean? There could have been so much good. I think Tombstone's probably my favourite, or Young Guns. But this, it's just like a nice, light-hearted look at it. But as I say, it's good enough to engage with, I think, yeah. So I like it. There's some good different aspects. Basically, in the title, Quick and Dead. So this guy's, I won't spoil it, but there's this bad guy, that Gene Hackman, and he's just more or less ruling this town with an iron fist. And to keep people in order, what he kind of does, it's a bit like Hunger Games, I guess. He has this thing every year where there's this competition, you know,
right.
To a bit like Hunger Games, and I always do this, but it's really nothing like it, but a bit like Hunger Games, The Purge in the Wild West. But he just tries to, you know, have an organised shootout rather than people just for free-for-all. And it's good, and then there's these 3 different characters. There's loads of different characters, but the main 3. So Sharon Stone, Russell Crowe, and Leonardo DiCaprio. So obviously competing in that. So yeah, I like it. So get it watched. It'd be interesting to know what you think. I like that. And then secondly, the second film I watched straight after, and I didn't intentionally do this, but also had Russell Crowe in, It's one of them ones that I know I want to watch again, but it's almost like I want to save it. Like I've been doing that with Seven lately. I want to watch Seven again because I haven't seen it for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a treat. I don't. Once I've watched it, then it's kind of I've watched it again.
Yeah.
But this was Gladiator. So I've seen
right.
Gladiator a lot of times.
Oh, you got to carve out a lot of time to watch that.
Yeah, not for about 10 years. No, it's 8 to 10 years. But yeah, I loved it. It is classic. It's just brilliant what it does. Still, like say, I noticed different things rather than just the fighting and the basic things. I noticed a different, deeper things to it. Yeah, good acting, good story. Joaquin Phoenix is really incredible in it.
He's very good in that, yeah.
It's a bit like, when you get these bad guys in stuff like Game of Thrones or stuff, whether it's Ramsay or Joffrey or whatever that you really hate. I think he set the bar for that in terms of this kind of world. But I loved it. Yeah, it's good. You can get involved in it. Yeah, just well shot. Great cinematography, some very quotable lines. So just an epic, really. I really, really enjoyed that.
I went as Gladiator to my 30th birthday party.
You went as Maximus?
Yeah, and I learned the speech, that he gives at the end. I learned it off by heart so I could do it. And then when the time finally came, I bottled it and just sort of mumbled the whole thing and pretended I hadn't learned it.
Right, well, now's your time, Luke. Now's your chance.
Sorry? No, that
chance.
was 10 years. 12. Oh, dear me, 13 years ago.
So, yeah, went as Maximus. So you said that was the second one I watched. You've seen Gladiator, haven't you?
Yeah, love Gladiator. I think it's a really good film. It's got some odd flourishes in, with the whole the hand in the corn and
yeah.
It's got some odd stuff in it, but I really enjoy that film. It's very good.
Yeah,
it's a shame nowadays. I don't know when you were watching it. The stuff with Oliver Reed in, because obviously he died before it was finished and had to digitally insert him and work around that. It kind of stands out when you watch it now because you can't. It's more noticeable. Yeah.
I think that's definitely the case. But yeah, like the flourishes that you're talking about with the hands in the field and then the flashing of light. I mean, it was odd, but I noticed this time that it was always when something was wrong. So he was exhausted or he was bleeding out or he had an infection or he'd been hit on the head. So kind of explained, because at first I remember thinking, well, that's just weird. But it was always something. But it does add that spiritual dimension to what the Romans believed, you know what I mean, in the afterlife.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
But I meant that was one of the films that I watched at the cinema. And I remember thinking, this is amazing. And I think I bought it as soon as it came out on DVD, watched it again. And yeah, I think it's incredible. So that was it. And then the third film that I've seen before was a rewatch, which this didn't really change for me because I enjoyed it pretty much on the same level, because I think it's just, I got it 100% the first time, was Coach Carter. So,
right.
With Samuel L. Jackson. You've never seen it?
No.
So it's about basketball. It's about a lot of different issues, social issues and stuff. But it's really good. It's really just a bit of a feel-good film, an underdog story, a bit of, they've got to learn a lesson. It's bigger than the sport. And then Samuel L. Jackson just being Samuel L. Jackson. But yeah, I think it's just really good, really inspiring.
I tend to avoid sports movies, I guess. Not avoid, but just they just don't seem to click on my radar so much.
I mean, I love them. With sports films, it's the cheesier the better. Do you know what I mean? If it's, I just love it. I don't want to watch a sports film where they don't win on the buzzer or get a touchdown in the final second. I don't want to watch anything that finishes on rubber. I'm not interested. It has to be the good ending. So yeah, I like Coach Carter. I like where these sports films play into something bigger than just a sport, whether it's race or class issues or education or whatever it is. So this has got all of that in, really. So yeah, I enjoyed that. And then I finally got to The Woman in the Window.
Oh right, yes. This is a strange film, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, and I kind of knew because Kate had watched it before and she told me, and other people said, I thought it was great until the last act, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly it's Joe Wright who did Atonement and Anna Karenina and all that, but and he's a good director, but you can see he's trying his best to be Hitchcock in it. Even the camera moves. And all. I mean, I didn't like the end of the film, but there's a great shot at the end of the film where she's walking down the stairs and the camera pulls right back and you can see through all, the stairs almost go see-through, the wall disappears. Yeah. And there's some amazing shots in it, some amazing photography in it. But it feels like it's trying too hard to be Hitchcock and not hitting it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's always going to be a danger if you use Hitchcock as your inspiration. Do you know what I mean? Is not hitting it, or any like person that you're trying to imitate. For me, it was a bit. It reminded me a bit like when I was doing essays, and I've got loads of time, and I get the first 2/3 of the essay and well researched and done well, and then I realise I've got like a day to hand it in, so the ending and the conclusion's just a bit messy and just rushed. That's what it felt like. I thought it built up well, built up the suspense. You didn't, even though you'd guess, you didn't quite know, and it kind of
it takes you one way then the other, doesn't it? Which is good.
So it was all of that, and then it was just rushed. It was just too quick.
It's funny. I remember hearing that it had a really troubled production, and I think it did an early screening and went down very badly and got reshot in bits and a lot of it was redone, and it really shows. It doesn't feel like a cohesive piece, does it?
No. So yeah, and we were supposed to watch, as I keep saying every week, A Quiet Place last Friday, but something came up and I had to go out and deal with that. So that's
you've still not done it?
No, it's rescheduled for this Friday, which is it's still on at the cinema, so I want to still go and get the second one watched. But so I had to wait, obviously, because Kate wanted to watch it with me. If she didn't, then I would have just watched it. But she did, so we'll get to that this week. So hopefully I can talk about that on next week's podcast.
Good. I'm so excited to hear what you think of it.
So that's what I think we watched the first 3 minutes. So I've still got. Then I got a phone call. I had to go out, and by the time I got back, it was too late. Kate would have fell asleep. I would have fell asleep. So yeah.
Oh, good.
So that's what I've been watching this week.
Right. Okay. I have been watching. I'll go back to the start. The first film I watched this week was it's a rewatch, but it's a film I haven't seen in a very, very long time. And I watched Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh, great film.
It is. It's one of those ones as I'm watching, I'm going, I remember very little about this film. I remember the skeletons at the end. I remember the Hydra. That's about it.
Yeah. The monsters always.
Yeah, I had a good time. It feels a little bit like a computer game, like you've got different one level, then the next level, then the next level.
Yeah, they were a bit like that, weren't they? Whether it's Jason the Argonauts, Sinbad, all of the ones I used to watch as a kid, it used to be just a progression of monsters, really.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand though. I assume it did well, but the end of the film is so set up for a sequel. They go, well, that's just Jason's first test. He's got many more to come, and it just ends like that. And you're like, is there another one? There's not, is there?
I don't think so.
No. So I don't understand why. It just seemed like it was going to happen. But anyway, I had a good time with that. It's all very obvious and fun. And
where did you watch that?
I watched that at home. That was on.
Yeah, but was
it on?
Yeah.
It was on Sky, I think. It was on Sky. Yeah. So I thoroughly enjoyed that anyway. It was like I've done recently. I did Clash of the Titans, so they're good. Go together well.
Yeah.
So,
the original Clash of the Titans, because they remade it, didn't they?
Yes, they did. No, the original. They not the remake. No, the remake. I don't like the remake at all. It's like
but the remake. The remake is one of them ones where I've seen a trailer for it and immediately discounted it.
Yeah,
so I've never watched it.
I went to see it because I love the old one so much, and I thought, well, if it's going to be anything like that, I'm going to have a great time. But no, not good. Liam Neeson as Zeus does not work.
No, and it's like this is the thing with them. When there's a lot of epics or things that you watched as a kid. Like that, where the mythology things, where they remake them and it's just all CGI. Now, I don't mind a bit because obviously, where you're going to find a 1,700-foot, monster, but it's like at the same time, just have a bit like the King Arthur that they did. It was just embarrassing how bad it was.
Yeah, and there's something about. The old ones. Of course, it looks fake, but they've got character to them.
Yeah.
They're so well animated, those things. The models, and they just have this personality to them that a CG thing doesn't have in the same way, and it's such a shame.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thoroughly enjoyed Jason and the Argonauts. Then we went to the cinema to watch F9.
Oh, sick of hearing about it, but at least it seems to have embraced even further its nonsense.
Oh, it to a whole new level. I mean, I know they get progressively more stupid, but they've gone past peak stupid now. There's a whole thing. I mean,
Now,
okay, yeah. The fifth one, the fifth one's my favorite one. That's okay. It's crazy, but that whole bit where they're dragging the safe at the end of the film, you can see behind the scenes, they really did that. It's got this weight to it when it smashes through buildings and things, and it's got this real. But by the time you get to the sixth one's there's this whole sequence. Have you seen the sixth one?
no, I stopped at maybe 5.
It's got this whole sequence where they're trying to stop this plane taking off. And this runway must have been 20 miles long for them to fit the whole sequence. And it's crazy but they know it's stupid because the plane stops with about that much to spare at the end of the runway after a 20-minute sequence. It's fine. I'm good with that. But I can't work out which bit was most stupid. I mean, there's obviously the go to space in a car. Fine. I'm okay with that level of stupid. Fine. Whatever. But there's a bit where there's a rope bridge that goes down. And first of all, they drive over it in a car in a way that's unbelievable to start with. But then the car does a Tarzan swing on the remainder of a row. And it's just, physics has gone out the window. I mean, I'm no physicist, but there's literally no way. And I think it kind of, as long as you believe it could happen, even if it's kind of silly, I'm okay. But it's too much. And then at the end, when they start using magnets for everything, I mean, I've never seen magnets used in a film quite so much, in quite so ridiculous ways, to the point where you just think, I know magnets don't work like that, but even my suspension of disbelief has gone now. It was disappointing. I was hoping for a good, dumb, fun film, but here's the thing though, I laughed consistently through it. I'm not sure I was supposed to, but I laughed consistently through that. So did I have a good time? Yes, I did.
All right, well, there we go.
So as long as I came away entertained, we both came out just like, well, that was stupid, but it was a fun night out. Although I have to say, it was my first cinema experience on a Friday night since they've reopened for a film aimed at boys, I guess, and it was a poor cinema experience. A lot of disruption, people in and out, and that kind of thing, and it made me go, "Oh, this is the bit of cinema I didn't miss."
Yeah, I mean, I don't think F9 is designed with the film connoisseur in mind.
No,
you have to give it your 100% attention.
No, it's not.
But still, if you do want to watch films in silence and in the dark without too much distraction, then yeah, it's not great, is it?
No, and it was okay, but you just felt like, oh yeah, I remember this side of cinema. Then I watched a film, another one of those films that's just completely passed me by for years and years. I think even though I like Martin Scorsese as a director, when it came out, I was a bit like, nah, that looks boring. So I just didn't do it. Again, that's past me, just discounting something. But I did The Age of Innocence.
Okay.
Which was, have you seen it?
No, I don't think so.
So it's Martin Scorsese doing a period romance, essentially.
Right, okay.
Set in 1800 New York, or the 1870s or something like that, with Daniel Day-Lewis, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Winona Ryder. And it's, this sort of society. Michelle Pfeiffer's a divorcee coming to this society and she's been isolated, and he kind of wants to look after her, but ends up, being drawn towards her, even though he's about to get married. And it just doesn't sound like the sort of film I wanted to watch when I was younger. But actually, it's Martin Scorsese using all of his tricks, all of his his camera tricks. There's a great steady cam sequence where he's going into one of the dancers, and it's going through this house, and there's a voiceover at this, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Good.
And Daniel Day-Lewis is so good in it.
Yeah, he's phenomenal, isn't
he? He plays this guy he's reserved, he's quiet, but at the same time, you can tell everything that's going on in his head without him saying it or showing it. You can see what he's thinking. You can see him gradually, the way he's being drawn by this other woman, and he's very, very good in it. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and it was a surprise. I wasn't expecting to. So really enjoyed Age of Innocence, and then I got on my Western kick again, and did and again, this was a first time watch for me. I had never seen it before. I did The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Great film.
Mainly because somebody, you put on, I think it was either the Facebook group or the Twitter, you'd put on sequences of scenes, iconic scenes.
Yeah.
And somebody put a GIF on of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where there's all of the eyes, and all of that.
And that's what I was saying. To kind of replicate that a bit in The Quick and the Dead, or give a nod to it. So
yeah, so I thought, okay, I'm going to give it a go. And I was talking a few weeks ago about Once Upon a Time in the West. It had everything I wanted in a Western in it. I'd forgotten one thing that I really wanted in a Western that I didn't have, and that's Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
And I had a great time watching The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Although I don't think The Good was too good. The Bad was fairly bad, and the Ugly, he just seemed fairly normal to me, but still. I had a great time watching it. I now want to watch all of the Clint Eastwood Westerns, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me is the most famous and the most regarded for a reason. I think the others are good, but a bit like with the with the Callahan ones as well. I think it's because, again, I think it's what we talked about the other week, because when a film comes out with, and there's no expectations, you don't know, and then the bar's set, everything after it is measured by that standard.
Yeah.
And held up to it. And I think it's just the same. So I don't think necessarily, if come out in a different order, I wonder whether, people would have a greater affinity for this. So, but definitely good, the Bad, and the Ugly. When I put another question out the other week about the best film that you've seen that was made from before you were born, that was one that was consistently suggested.
Yes. Yeah. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. And the music's amazing. I mean, I was familiar, but there's just the way the music's used. It's almost comical, but it works. That every time it's like a punctuation where something happens, it goes wah wah. Had a great time watching that. And I've never got. I mean, I've liked Clint Eastwood, a lot of his films, but I've only really seen his later stuff. Unforgiven onwards, kind of. That kind of where he's the grizzled old man. But man, he was cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thoroughly enjoyed The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and would heartily recommend that to anyone who who just wants to enjoy everything you expect out of a Western. Yeah,
I mean, absolutely. I think it's a really good film. Loved it the first time I saw it, even just for the action stuff. But when understand everything what's going on, it's just really good. I think it's just really well done. I like it a lot.
And then the last film I've done this week, the little clue behind me as to what this is. This is one of those direct to streaming. It's on Prime in the UK and Netflix in America for some reason. I don't know why it's worked out like that. But The Ice Road with Liam Neeson. We saw the trailer and thought, that looks fun, but not taxing. But boy, it was awful. It was truly, truly dreadful. Everything about it. I mean, I'm okay for fun, dumb action, but that action has to be well done. And bless him, Liam Neeson can't throw a punch anymore. I mean, there's bits where it's just like it's like the fight sequences are literally just that. The dialogue is appalling. I mean, there's a moment where he comes out, where you're introduced to Liam Neeson at the start, and he comes out of his ice truck, toothpick in his mouth, all kind of like proper redneck. And you take one look and you go, no, don't buy it. Don't buy it. In fact, Amelia said that as soon as he comes on screen and he's looking all grizzled, and you think he's going to be the grizzled hero, and he walks up and Amelia goes, "Nope, don't buy it. No." For some reason, you're only as good an actor as your director tells you to be. Because Liam Neeson can be good, but every delivery of the line is clunky as anything. The storyline, the exposition in it, the whole reason for them actually being a hitman in an action sequence, because there's meant to be a rescue mission, but they put this most convoluted thing in just so there can be a hitman who never seems to die. You thought you've killed him, he comes back. You thought you killed him, he comes back. But in ways that you're just kind of like, oh, please just die.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit. It's like, there's a few films like that where it's like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's got Lawrence Fishburne in as a character that is going to die pretty early on. You can't afford Liam Neeson and Lawrence Fishburne for the whole film. But it's so obvious he's going to die right from and you just, the whole time, it's just, it's like ticking boxes the whole way. And then when it gets towards the climax, and by the way, they have a set amount of time before the oxygen runs out, but it seems to be very specific. It's like a minute over and they're going to die. It's like, I'm not quite sure that's how it works.
No.
It's, yeah, I would heartily suggest you avoid it. Watch the trailer and you've probably seen all the best bits.
Yeah, I feel a bit sad because I think, I don't like to dig anyone out, but Liam Neeson's played some good parts. But everything after Taken, I don't know if he's just choosing the wrong films. Obviously, he's had personal tragedy in his life, so maybe he's just keeping himself busy, or, just it's
but
changed.
He must have been offered good stuff. Somebody must be offering something good.
But because it's at the point where I was like, after Taken, given his track record, I would watch films if Liam Neeson was in it. And then The Grey, was it The Grey? It was awful. Do you know what I mean? And then Among the Tombstones, and then more recently I watched Honest Thief, which it's more about the plot than it is about him. It's just like, oh, come on. Is this like GCSE media studies that's done this?
Yeah. That's the thing. Everybody who made that film knows how to make a good film. The writer's done some good films. The director's done some good films. Liam Neeson's done some good. Lawrence Fishburne's done some good films. So how on earth do they make something that's so? I mean, I'm sure nobody ever sets out to make a bad film, but this kind of feels like they did.
Yeah, but I don't think that people set out to make a bad film. But in the current climate, as we say, I know there's been challenges, and they've still got to make money. Yeah. So it might even like a lot of the it probably changes tax tax, but some of these things, like Netflix originals, and Prime, whatever their version is, that some of them are good, but you can see they're just churned out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there's not a lot of substance to them, and there's one or two that surprise me, but it seems to be right. Just get it out. People are going to watch it anyway.
Yeah, it's a rarity. I mean, this film. I mean, it's filmed on the ice roads. It must have been a dangerous place to film. It looks cold. It looks like it was hard work to make it. Like they really went through the mill to make this film. They really were cold. They really were, out in the wilderness. And it's like, you know what, you guys, you should have just stayed at home. It wasn't worth it.
But I mean, if anybody else has watched it and you liked it, let us know. Or if you agree with Luke, let us know about that as well.
I can't imagine much kickback on this one, but we'll see.
No, Luke's watching a film and going, do not watch it.
It's a rarity for me to just say do not watch it, but really, you honestly, there's many other things you can do with your time, and frankly, they should have all spent their time doing something else.
Very good, and that leads us on to the question that you wanted to chat about today, yeah?
Yes, it does. There was two. It's kind of like a two-part question. First of all, what films can you just rewatch again and again? I mean, almost if they were on loop, you wouldn't mind. Films that you can just keep on coming back to, and you're always going to enjoy them. And also, maybe not just movies you don't want to see again, because there's plenty of movies like The Ice Road I never want to see again.
Yeah.
But good movies that you don't want to see again.
Yeah.
Movies where you get to the end and go, that was brilliant, and I'm never watching it again.
Yeah. So which do you want to tackle first?
Let's start with movies you can rewatch time and again.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's the obvious ones. So Rocky 1 to 4, I can watch over and over again. I could watch daily. It's like one of the times when I'm thinking about what film do I want to watch. Doesn't matter. Rocky always comes into the equation, even if I've just watched it recently. So I went and rewatched them all 6 months ago, maybe less. 6 to 8 months ago. But I could do it again this week.
Yeah.
The same with the Dark Knight trilogy. Then there's Back to the Future, Die Hard I watch every year, RoboCop. These are the films the Goonies that I love. And if they were on telly, even though I've got them on DVD, even though I've watched them recently, I'll watch it.
Even if it's halfway through, you'd start there
absolutely.
and you'd watch it to the end.
The less obvious ones, because of the films we know I like, so they pretty much all of them, films that I really like, I would do that with. But then there's other ones like Grease. Do you know what I mean? It's one of the things that as a kid I used to slate it, and I used to, I guess, hate the fact that I liked it. But now I just embrace it. I mean, it's unbelievable in terms of that these 30-year-old people were supposed to believe are high school kids or whatever. But I can still watch it and sing along to it and, enjoy it. So that is one that comes to mind when I think, if it's on telly, I'm going to watch that in the background or whatever and have that on. What about you?
I think there's some films that I could never get tired of watching. I remember when I first got Baby Driver and I first bought it, that was pretty much on loop. There's something. I think because that film's got so many, like the rhythms of it. There's no let up in the rhythm of the film. It's got so many. I could watch that again and again and again. Edge of Tomorrow is another film that I just never tire of watching. Again, I think because there's so much repetition in it, almost it doesn't feel repetitive to watch. But I love watching that. When I was younger, and I still could do it, I could still watch it again and again. Is The Commitments?
Yeah, good film.
I used to love it. I mean, it was always my go-to. If I just want to relax, just want to enjoy a good film, I'd put The Commitments on because I enjoy the music. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the banter between them. I don't maybe enjoy all the language, but that's okay. But the idea, even silly things like Jimmy Rabbit just interviewing himself in the mirror. I could, all the bits. I just always enjoy it. So that's the one that, again, doesn't matter how many times I've seen it. Quite happy to put it on. Another one's Game Night. But I'm trying to pare back on that one because you can overwatch a film and ruin it. And so it's more like, has it been too recently that I've seen that? And it's like, it's been maybe a couple of months. Maybe I could do it again. Yeah, okay, let's do it again.
Yeah, I never could as a kid. Right, it's the same with food. I think as a kid, I could rewatch films over and over and over again. Every week, every Saturday, every year, then put it on again. But I could also just eat crispy pancakes every night, whatever. But as an adult, it's easy to make yourself sick of stuff. Do you know what I mean? If you watch them over and over again. Same with food. I can eat something. I really like that, and I'll have it for the next 3 days now. But
because you've got to be careful you don't ruin it. Because if you do, if you cross that line and you make yourself sick, you don't want to eat it again.
Yeah. think
there's a fine line there between watching it too many times. It's like Ghostbusters. I watched Ghostbusters all the time as a kid, but now I've got to pace those viewings a little bit more.
yeah, and that's kind of what not kind of what it's like. What I was getting at with Seven and Gladiator and stuff. I know I want to watch them again, but I know then it'll be another few years before. So it's like I want to savor that experience.
Yeah, it's
Almost
like
wish that I could.
When we had Emma on, she said she'd watched The Meg. What was it 98 times?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I mean, you've got to really love a film to be able to do that. That's no criticism of doing that. But at some point, if you're not careful, you get to the point where you never want to see it again.
Yeah.
So
I almost wish some of them I could rewatch at the cinema again.
Yeah. I wish I could watch Back to the Future at the cinema again. It came out a few years ago, but they were charging a fortune to go see it.
Maybe we should just buy a cinema.
Well, yeah, that'd be nice. I could more than happily do the Back to the Future trilogy.
That would be good. I think you would do well, particularly you would have done well now, if you had a cinema and you just showed majoritively old re-release, films that have been, put them on re-release. Because I know some cinemas do it with one or two, but if you were just doing that as your mainstay, and then you just bought the rights to screen the bigger films every now and then if it was something sensational. But I would do that, me.
Yeah, I think a lot of the because there've been a fair few, especially when cinemas were closed, there was outdoor cinemas that were allowed to be open and like drive-ins. And I think they all got by on just showing older films that people just wanted to see again.
Yeah, and people wanted to take their kids to see films that they experienced. So.
Yeah, there was a place in Hartlepool, it's closed down now, I think, unfortunately. That was it was like a movie cafe, and you could book a screen. It was you'd book this little small screen. You only get like 20 people or so in, but you could just book it for private viewings of any film you wanted to watch. So I had a birthday party there once, where we just booked it. 10 friends watched the film. It was I think it was great. And you order your food there as part of it, and you get your food in on the price. And
brilliant. What did you watch?
It was Prometheus. Which my dad booked it as a surprise for my birthday, and I didn't have the heart to tell him I'd already seen it and didn't like it. But that's I enjoyed the experience.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, it was not a great film, but having said that, I had a good night. And it was in 3D, that one, so I hadn't seen it in 3D, so that was something. Okay, what films that you think these are good films? I can totally appreciate. This is a great film, and I thoroughly am glad I saw it, but I don't ever want to see it again.
The one that comes to mind is Schindler's List.
Yes, yeah.
I've talked about it before. Such an important film, really, helped me grasp on a whole new level, some of the horrendous and horrific things that happened at that time. But it was just harrowing. It's, I don't mind if I never see it again.
Yeah.
I appreciate it as a piece of filmmaking. I appreciate it as a vehicle to, highlight how horrific, a tiny glimpse into how horrific things were. But yeah, it's once is enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good film. I have seen it. I've seen it a few times, but it's one of those ones that I don't want to watch too often. It's never, I'll just put that on.
No.
But I think it's these films that you feel it's an important subject matter. It's well made, but it's traumatic. And, I'm glad. I remember going to see, was it Silence, about the priests who were going in, was it Japan, the Martin Scorsese film. And I remember thinking, this is a good film. It's very well made. It's tackling some big issues. I never want to watch it again in my life.
Yeah. I think it's in the same thing, isn't it? It's just like, why, it's important, when it's out and people are talking about it and talking about how you want to watch it, and then you watch it for the message, for what it shows, for the expression, and the importance of it. But once you know that, when are you ever in the mood to say, I tell you what, I'm thinking, what film shall I watch? I'll put Schindler's List on, or Silence, or something else. It's almost like it's wrong to use that as entertainment, because it's not entertainment. It's information. It's used to inform you, I think.
Yeah. And then there are still films that are, you'd say were entertaining, but again, you don't want to. Another one of those is Midsummer. I got to the end and thought, that's very good. I am never sitting through it again.
Yeah, I think. And then there's other films that other people will watch over and over again, and they are for entertainment, and I just won't. Tenet. I don't think I'll ever watch Tenet again.
No, I don't think I will. Actually, I've seen it twice. That's enough.
Well, I've only watched it once, but if people saying, "Oh, you're on the second view and you understand more," I shouldn't have to. Do you know? I shouldn't have to. If it's that indulgent, and I have issues with it anyway. If it's that self-indulgent that it just ruined the experience for me, then I'm not going to go back to it. It's like, oh yeah, you could understand it if you watch it over again, and then you go on, I don't know, Reddit or whatever, and you've got all it explained to you. But I don't want to work that hard. So I think Inception was on the line for me. But yeah, so Tenet, I'm not really that bothered about seeing again. Whereas people say, "Oh, Nomadland, I wouldn't watch that again." I think I would.
Yeah, I think that might be one of those ones. I'm glad I've seen it. I don't think I'll watch it again, but maybe maybe it just needs a bit of time, that one.
Yeah, but I guess I understand, because it's a story thing, and it's just that once you've got the story, then you get it.
Yeah,
it's had its effect. It's told. It's almost like it's played its course.
Yeah. There's other films like have you seen The Farewell?
No.
I think it's just trying to think. I don't want to get this wrong, so I'm going to just quickly look it up. It's Awkwafina.
Yeah.
She plays the part. It's like this whole family saying goodbye to their gran who's dying, and it's like the family comes together, dealing with the decision that the gran's dying, and but they don't want her to know. So they try and think of a reason they can all come together as a family, and so that they have kind of a fake wedding thing going on, just as a reason to kind of keep everybody together. And it was a hard film to watch because I've just lost my gran at the time. And whilst it helped, I think it actually did help to watch it. I did get to the end and think, I'm not watching that again. Because films can bring stuff up, and I think that's a good thing about films, is they can bring stuff to the surface, help you deal with stuff, but it's not always a pleasant thing to do.
No, they are. It can be quite emotive, particularly, as you say, if you've got stuff going on, or it highlights something for you and raises issues for you.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing about films.
Yeah, one of them, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's just films that I just don't want to watch again.
There's a film that every time I watch it, which I've seen it more than once, I get to the end and go, I am never watching that again. And I keep going back to it like a dog goes back to its vomit. And that is Eden Lake.
Right, yeah.
It is traumatic. It's horrible. It's tense. It makes me scared of teenagers. And I get to the end and I'm like, I'm not watching that again. And then every now and again, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch that again. And I regret it every time.
Well, I've got one like Fight Club, we talked about the other week, that I don't think I'll ever watch again. I've given it 2 goes now, and my opinion's unchanged. But I kind of want my opinion to be different. I want to see something different and be going, oh, but I don't think it'll happen. So,
that's where I am with The Greatest Showman. I did it once, didn't like it, so I thought, right, maybe I'm wrong. I'll try again. And I still didn't. I think I disliked it more second time. And I keep wondering, should I give it a third try? Maybe my opinion will have changed. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is a masterpiece. But just the thought of doing it, I get a sort of cold sweat.
We always end up with this, don't we? But yeah, I mean, I think it's catchy. I think it's a catchy film, and I can see why people enjoy it. But it's not a masterpiece.
No.
Do you know what I mean? For me, you put La La Land against it, and La La Land is on another level in every way.
Yeah, and I have to say, In the Heights beats it easy.
So yeah, there's loads of films we talked about that I just don't want to watch again because they were rubbish.
Yes, and that's an easy call to make. There's just films you don't like, and it's like, nope, never watching that again. But I think there's an interesting thing about a film you do like, and you think this is very good, but nah, I'm not going to do it again. There's some films where you're like, did you see Ad Astra? When that Brad Pitt going into space?
Yeah.
I remember sitting there as it was on, thinking, this is very well made. I don't think I'll ever watch it again because it does feel like I've gone through space with him in real time. It took him 8 years to get there or whatever it was. It felt like 8 years.
Yeah. But then there's I don't know if you ever get this, but there's films that I'll watch, usually at the cinema, and I'll come out and think, I didn't like that. Or it was all right. And then 2 days later, it's gone up by about 2 points out of 10.
Yeah.
So I come out of the cinema thinking I was 6 out of 10, and then 2 days later when I'm putting something on Instagram about it, I'll be like 8 out of 10. Because I can't get it out of my head, or it just sticks with me, or I'm thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, it's had an impact.
Yeah. It's good when that happens. Or you reassess a film years later, and you're like, at the time I thought this was a bit naff, but actually I'm having a good time. I think especially a lot of 90s films where I was excited for them came out, was like, that wasn't great. But looking back at them now, it's like, actually, that's a lot of fun.
But it's it's like subjective things. So sometimes I'll come out and make sweeping statements. And I mean, probably Kate couldn't get this when we went to watch Back to the Future on the stage. Mm-hmm. So we go to the theatre a lot and watch musicals. And I said, that is the best musical I've ever seen. Best, stage production. And she wouldn't have it. She's saying, you're just saying that because it's Back to the Future. I said, yeah, I am. Because I love it. So it's already onto a winner. But if it was done poorly, I wouldn't have. But it's the same as if they did a Rocky musical. That would instantly, if it was done well, score high because I'm already interested in the story. Now, Wicked, as good as it was as a production, I'm not really that bothered about, The Wizard of Oz. It was nice and stuff. Or Matilda, it's good. But I would rather watch Back to the Future on the telly or on the screen than go and watch Matilda. But when you put the musical together, I thought it was great. So I'll make sweeping statements. Sometimes I come out of the cinema and say, that was the best film I've ever seen. And then 2 days later, it isn't. Or I'll say, that was all right. And then 2 days later, I'm like, that is great. And sometimes it doesn't change. It's just like, because I always say to myself, I'll see if it changes over to the time. And I did that with The Greatest Showman. I thought, I wonder if I appreciate it more in a couple of days. And I didn't.
No.
But yeah, it happened with a lot of films.
Best stage play I saw was actually The Commitments as well, but I think I was pre-built to love it.
yeah, I think that is. You've got an emotional investment anyway.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as we've talked about before, because you've got expectations, so it could have easily bombed Back to the Future, the musical, because it's something that I really, really like. So I just didn't want them to ruin it. And I don't think they did.
Yeah, I'd like to have seen that. There was a Groundhog Day musical as well, which I would have loved to have seen, but I don't know if it ever came over here.
Well, the Back to the Future one, because it premiered in Manchester.
Oh, right.
So I think Zemeckis was there the day before we went or whatever. But so we went to watch it in Manchester. And then there was like 3 weeks, then they were pausing, then they were gonna do a big run, and it's gonna go to London and all over. It was gonna tour, but then COVID. So I think it's scheduled to be back in September. I think so. If you can get it, I would say go. I know we're talking about films, but yeah. So sometimes I come out and make sweeping statements. But yeah,
and maybe that's what I've done. Maybe in days to come, I'll appreciate the Ice Road a whole lot more.
Doesn't sound like it. Yeah, if you come out and say actually next week, you say actually I was wrong. It's in my top 10.
Oh dear, no, I don't think that'll happen. Oh dear. So, what films for you watching can you rewatch non-stop and? You could put it on and you don't mind, even if it was on TV, you've got to watch it till the end if you come across it. And which films do you think are great films that you never, ever want to see again in your life? And be interested to hear your answers.
Yeah, it'd be good to hear from you. Yeah, and I say, let us know if you want to come on and chat about films with us, if you've got any topics. So we're going to look at in coming weeks at maybe different genres, whether it's gangster films, superhero films, and different things. So we'll look at that. So let us know what genres you've got particularly interested in. We've had a couple of people tell us they're really interested in horror. Luke's talked about westerns, so if you like westerns, let us know what films Luke should be watching if he likes westerns.
Yes, give me some advice. I'm so new to the genre in a sense. Once Upon a Time in the West, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Where do I go next? I'd be very interested to know. And is Dirty Harry worth a look at as well, now when the Clint Eastwood kick? Yeah,
well, I talked about it the other week. So I say yes, but if anybody else thinks you should or not, that's it. But I loved it. Well, I'd say I loved it. I had an issue with the villain, which is usually people's highlight. So if you do watch it, let me know what you think.
Okay,
but Clint's is brilliant in it. So, well, that's been fun, Luke.
It has. I think we've reached our time almost, but I've enjoyed talking through these films today. Looking forward to, and I have to wait a whole other week now to find out what you think about The Quiet Place.
Yeah, you do. And if it doesn't get watched on Friday, I'm just going to watch it on my own, even if I have to pretend that I haven't. Which is
Does
obviously
Kate listen to the podcast.
Yeah, no. I put it on once, and Kate was like, "Why are you watching yourself?" I was like, "I was for you." She was like, "Oh, I heard you." So.
Oh dear. Well, thank you very much for joining us, everybody, this week. We hope that you have a good week and that you watch some good films. Let us know what you think about the films that you've seen this week. Have you been to the cinema? Have you seen F9? Is anybody out there think it's the best one? I don't think so. And does anybody like The Ice Road? I'd be very curious to find that one out. And if you have an opinion whether they should stop making Fast and the Furious films now, I would be interested in hearing from you. I think yes, but I don't think they are. I think they keep going, aren't they? I think they're planning to go up to 11 and then stop them, but dear me, that feels like a long way away. Only 2 more, Luke. Oh dear. Right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We shall see you again next week. Yeah, we'll see you next time.